there's some great books. One of the things that we were looking for is in a business, whether it's your marketing plan or where we're trying to get our agents thing, is how do we build an unfair advantage? And what we found in this with tech and real estate, the niche was huge and no one knew it. No one had done niche real estate for residential on scale.
All right, welcome to the Owner's Journal. Excited for the interview today. I'm here today with Glenn Phillips, CEO of Lake Homes Realty, also Beach Homes Realty. Based out of Birmingham, Alabama, they are a tech-enabled full-service real estate brokerage firm, licensed in 38 states on the Lake Homes front, 14 states on the Beach Homes front. And Glenn, I think this is going to be one of my more fascinating interviews. It's my first real estate interview, and I've been dying to talk to someone about real estate for a long time. I think this will be the first of many. There's a lot going on in that industry right now, but the tech piece is also very interesting to me. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got started in business first, and then the opportunity to get involved in this opportunity for Lake Homes Realty.
Great. Well, thanks for having me, Kurt. This is interesting. And my wife says I have lots of words. She'll be glad I'm going to use some of them up today. So, I've always been a bit entrepreneurial bent. I can remember when I was 6 trying to sell pecans to the neighbors, and that was a whole misadventure, as entrepreneurship is and ownership is. And so my career has been mainly tech. My degree is computer engineering. But really, except for about 4 years, I've always run a business. I run a tech software development shop, which is a great way to learn how businesses work. If you're building custom software, you got to understand what's the problem we're solving, as opposed to just repeating an existing software to leverage it. And then real estate came about. I do business with my wife. She's my co-leader in business as well as life. We have different skill sets, which is part of building our team. We were approached about this business. She came out title, insurance, and real estate closing. So neither of us were a broker, but we were approached for what was really going to look like a Zillow for lakes, and it was a fatal flaw. And so we spent 15 months working with investors. We took an ownership and leadership stake in the business and took it from being dead in the water with, to now we're operating. We think we're really about to hit our stride. We many ways, we're still a baby, even though we've been on the Inc. 5000 7 years.
Let's actually talk about that. You kind of glossed, you ran quickly over the opportunity that you were presented with, right? For this company. But I want to hear the pitch that they made to you, or if you were to go back in time, how the pitch would have sounded if they brought this to you as the new CEO of Lake Homes Realty.
Absolutely. So the first, they asked us to just take a look at this business, and it was part of a portfolio, and I believe they were deciding to kill it because it was in trouble. It never really launched. And so we spent about 2 months of discussing it, and then another more than a year evaluating business models, which was a very valuable thing to work with. But if I took the first 2-3 months of discussions and compressed them, this isn't what they said in one discussion. But if we compressed it, they came to us and said, Glenn, Doris, you've pointed out our business has not one, but 2 fatal business flaws that will never let it get lift. All the employees we hired, except one engineer, have left. By the way, he leaves for Google in a month. The software is really not finished. We've never generated revenue. We've spent all the capital we raised, and we have debt, and we can't pay you. Would you like to run this business? And we had done some angel investing. It was very modest type work. And so we were used to hearing pitches, as well as my work working with business owners and being a small business owner, a lifestyle business owner. But that Doris even said, as we looked at this and there were business opportunities, we kept finding not the right thing to invest our time and money in. And she said, there's a pony in there somewhere.
So you know what, she mentioned what I was just going to mention to you. The logic of it says, run the other way, right? Like someone is presented that, the back of your brain says it doesn't add up, doesn't make sense. Somewhere in there was a gut feel, right? There's a gut feel that this could be something big, and it was your wife, it sounds like, that came to you and said, how did the rest of that go?
Yeah, so she said there's a pony in there somewhere, and we agreed. We both went, there's some great books. One of the things that we were looking for is in a business, whether it's your marketing plan or where we're trying to get our agents thing is, how do we build an unfair advantage? And what we found in this with tech and real estate, the niche was huge and no one knew it. No one had done niche real estate for residential on scale. Just didn't happen. Nobody looked at it that way. They didn't even know how big the market was. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the things we did that was one thing you should do, and any business owner should do in any venture they do with their own business, even something new, is we went and researched the stew out of it. And one of the things we said was, is there even a total addressable market for lake property? So we set out during the 15 months to figure out why we shouldn't do it. And the
Okay.
idea was, if it survived that, we had something.
Okay.
Many do, they build it and they will come, like Field of Dreams, and then they just envision, oh, I can picture people buying this thing or buying this service, and we're the reverse. We're like, why would this not work? What kind of idiot starts a real estate brokerage? There are too many of them. So to look at our total addressable market, we pulled favors and pulled data, and we went and looked at the real estate bust in Alabama where we are and said, is there even enough lake property here to be a business?
Yep.
What we found, usually your data, everybody thinks their market's bigger and it shrinks. We found the reverse to our surprise. In Alabama alone, during the real estate bust, over $1 billion worth of lake property was purchased per
Okay.
year. And we went, wow. And we're not Texas, and we're not Minnesota, and we're not Georgia and South Carolina and California. So this, it turned out, we're like, this is a huge market that no one has thought about. And what makes it interesting where we use the tech is the buyers are often from somewhere else and may not even know the name of the lake they want.
Wow. Wow. So you did a pros and well, you did TAM, you did total addressable market. In the search for the pony, right? Is
Yeah.
of course what to put it. You did kind of a not a pros and cons, but why is it fit? Why has it failed, or why would it fail? And then if the answer is just because no one's done the research, or I mean, I guess where did the light bulb moment come on when is it that one where you said $1 billion in sales in a down market, and then that was like, all right, let's go.
Not totally. We also need to figure out, what would keep a big player in the real estate world from dropping $60 million to go into the space. And so what we looked at, if we wanted to make a brokerage model that would work now and in the future, because there are plenty of brokerages that are too ahead of their time or too behind, or brick and mortar has evolved, but they're not revolutionary. They've added a lot of tech. Now there's cloud-based real estate brokerages. One of the things that we decided was it's misaligned. Real estate, I believe, is misaligned, and this has nothing to do with our niche. It has to do with scale. Is that I believe most real estate brokerages in this country are not that different from casinos. They need a lot of players, agents, and they will even denote in their marketing to agents, we're the most agent focused, or we're focused on our agents. Almost don't even mention consumers, and it's misaligned. So we said, can we help buyers uniquely, sellers uniquely, and agents uniquely on scale and get economy of scale by using tech?
Okay. Okay. So how do you differentiate, I looked just the name of the company, Lake Homes Realty. You would think, hey, it sells itself, right? Agents are going to want to line up to sell homes, properties on a lakefront, and especially a beachfront, right? Why don't others just specialize in those markets? I think I asked you that in the pre-interview, and it was, well, you have your theories, I
I
guess.
have theories, and I think a lot of the people getting real estate think it's a shortcut to wealth, but the successful agents know it's work and they use business process. They're good business owners, even if it's their book of business.
Right.
But so many get in, they have enough friends and family, they get a few deals done and they kind of muck through it. Over half the agents that we call in a new market where we don't have agents yet, where we say we have a buyer interested in your property, don't answer their phone or call us back on their own listing.
Yeah. You know what? That's that. I want to dig into that. And I think where you were going with this when we talked before was, this is a business. It's an execution business, right? You have to think. Have to have a business owner mind. You can't just get into real estate because you're seeking a big commission, right? On a house or two every once in a while, right? Because you're not going to last in the business, and I think that most don't because of that, right?
Right.
It has to be a business plan, a business of execution. Where does team come into it? Because outside the real estate business, I've never sold homes or properties before. I look at it as it's one person. They go, they show up, they follow up. Got to be aggressive, right? You got to learn the product. You got to learn all the odds and ends of the local, area, right?
Mhm.
Have to learn a lot of facts, do some research. Um, but I think of it as a one man or one person show. Am I wrong about that?
That's what most of the agents do. And many of the brokerages work that way. They go, keep most of the commission. We're just collecting license fees and a little piece to hold your license. Your marketing is you're your own brand. But that's a crowded, how are you going to stand out in the market? Because there's so many agents, a couple of million roughly in the country. In any market, there are hundreds of agents, and they'll even know, oh, we're in the biggest office in the market. Well, so you sit next to your competitors. What does that really mean? Our belief was that that's misaligned, and that
Hmm.
we really, where we've had success in our agent, we have a number of agents who have had multiple. When we take seasoned agents, we're not well situated for brand new agents unless they're going to work under a team leader in the field in their local market. But the agents
Ah,
we want have been in, they've done this a while, and if they will do and engage us as a team together, then those agents have multiple times their transaction volume. And we do that because there's no way, if you go get your real estate license and you're going to be at a lake we work at, you can't compete with our digital presence, with our pay-per-click campaigns, the ability to find buyers in multiple other states who are looking at your lake. We give our agents a list of analytics, say, we can prove to a seller, it's not just anecdotally, oh, we know 3 cities that come here to shop. I can tell you how many people in 100 different cities have looked at your lake and how we know they're serious about that market.
all right. So this is where realtors should perk up, right? That are not happy with their production level, where brokerages should perk up and listen and say, what's their unfair advantage? Because you
Yeah.
just kind of outlined it right there, and it's I think it's compelling to me because you're talking about an apprentice mentorship type of a situation, a team with with a mentor and an apprentice, that gets coached through how to sell these properties and how to use the tech and how to follow up, follow through. This is To me, this is an incredible business model, very powerful, and I'm not surprised why you're on the Inc. 5000 7 years in a row with this. Um, Interesting. The whole lake versus beach thing. Let's have some fun with this
Okay.
first of all. Right? Lake or
Please.
beach? Lake or ocean for you?
Personally, like we're like
Why?
convenience really, and we work a lot. We like to work, and our office is here in Birmingham. There's some lakes. Um, it's a great lake state. People may be surprised for that.
I've heard that. Yes.
In fact, there are, if you look on a map, you might not know it because they're little fingers instead of a big blob. We have
Yep.
2 lakes, Smith Lake and Lake Martin in Alabama. Of course, we're all over the country, but those 2 lakes alone, if you took their shoreline, their usable shoreline, and stretched it out, each of them has more usable shoreline than California has to the Pacific Ocean,
Mhm.
each.
Wow.
So that gives you a lot of places to put a house. We love the beach, and that might be where we land one day, but we enjoy, in fact, Doris and I, while we're married, we both love building. We're builders. We don't work the same way, so we count on each other to see things what the other misses. We
Hmm.
even started in our board meetings a few years ago, being sure we sat across the table from each other just to be sure we could give did you get, like, we could signal somebody missed something, like you missed that, and
Yeah.
or talk after the meeting. And so we love the growth. We love our team here, our corporate team that does the back office support for our agents all over the country, watching them grow. We get excited. A single mom improves her credit, buys her first house, cuts her living costs down. We get excited about those team wins. And even somebody who's here in a clerical role in our bookkeeping team.
That's great. I want to go in another direction now because the topic of lakes and ocean is of interest to me, in terms of health, just mental, physical health, being on a lake, being on an ocean. Can you talk about what that does to you, just physically, mentally, some of the health benefits? I would imagine that's part of it. where you say, someone saves up and they say, it's the American dream, right? Oh, I want to live on a lake someday or have a lake access to a lake home. Why? Why do people want that?
My theory is it's primal. Just like we like mountain views and we like looking at fire and we look at we that view of off a mountain, the view of a beach, the view of a lake. We sell a lot of lake homes where the water's not water you're going to get in and play in. Like in Florida, people pay a premium to be on a lake in Florida that they won't get in because it has a few alligators. I call it looking at water, but they pay
Right,
the
right.
premium for looking at water, and I think it's primal. I think it's very primal of our need to go, and water is safety, water is life.
Okay. I also think there's a sleep benefit to it. If for some reason, every time I visit a lake, usually it's the first night, right? You sleep like a log. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is. It's something I've heard. It's something about the negative ions, but I don't know the science behind it. But I've also found that on the ocean. Anytime I've done either a cruise or spent a lot of time by the ocean,
Yeah.
that night it's like vivid dreams. It's deep sleep. There's something about that. So I guess where I'm going with this is when you're building a business, any business, right? I'm reading up on Adam Coffey right now. He's got a book called Empire Building. Any kind of business you want to build, it's got to satisfy a need versus a want, right? If you want to build something that just continues to grow, and I'm wondering what niche or what need does this type of real estate sell versus other real estate, right? Um,
It's
it's
it
pretty
is
obvious.
true.
Everyone has to have a home.
It is a discretionary purchase.
Yep.
But like I was in Birmingham actually is a world-class food town. So and we like to go to nice restaurants. We're not paying for kids and things. So we go and was talking with Chef Chris Hastings. He's one of those guys, entrepreneurial, had beat Bobby Flay on Iron Chef. And I said, we have the same customers. In fact, he said, "What do you mean?" And it evolved. He actually came and we had a sort of a Larry King style interview at our national agent summit. We were bringing all our agents. I said, "What is?" Said nobody has to pay what you charge at your restaurant for food to sustain their body. Nobody has to pay what we do
Right.
for these houses we sell for people for lodging, for shelter. And so, but I think while it is discretionary, it's about bond, it's about connection. People buy a lake home. I say it's a gateway to future memories, and that sounds cliche, but they buy it because they can imagine what they and their spouse, or they're going to bring in the grandkids, or it's going to be the place that their family comes for the holidays. That
Yeah.
it's that safe place.
Yep. It's a desire. Yeah, right. It is, you could argue that it's a need. It's a human need for
Yeah.
connection, right? Um, at the same time, versus a want. Yeah, everybody wants that. No, it's more of a human need, to connect with people, to have a place to be with
Or
your.
to get away. Sometimes I need a quiet place. And it's kind of like people who say, I can't work from home because home's here. I have a home office, but I tend to come to the office for work. I do very little of my work in my home office because it's home is home, office is office, lake is lake.
Mhm.
And your mindset changes when you do these physical shifts.
100%. It's a stress reducer. I had a conversation with my wife about yoga the other day. I had an interview a month ago with a music label executive that now owns a yoga company and is creating a yoga app for all the different types and brands of yoga out there. And his take on this is it's really it's a way to focus and have flow in your life, right? And to just de-stress and not be so much in your head. And I think that the same concept goes for a lake, right? It's like, all right, you're away from work, you're away from the hustle and bustle and the stress. It's a de-stressor. And that, in my mind, is a need.
It's also a reward. We've worked hard, we've accomplished things. This is our reward for that is to enjoy life, and our demographic tends to skew older than the average of real estate,
Yep.
both buyers and sellers. And they many cases, while some people have been generational wealth, there are a lot of folks who've earned it. And the lakes can vary, the beaches can vary in their price points. So we have lakes that are really surprisingly affordable. But as a percentage of the money they have, it may be a bigger investment for them. But
Mhm.
still, that's the place they want. I said, whether you're buying a multi-million-dollar home, I said, The guy who bought a not good shaped little shack on a little tiny lake that doesn't even have good water, just because he needs a break to get away with him and his buddies to hang out and fish or sit by a campfire, that's meaningful as to him as somebody who may have bought a multi-million-dollar home in a gorgeous development on a lake.
You nailed it. You nailed it right there. It's all in the meaning for the person, right? It's all what the person values.
And when we started the business, once we were ready to kind of say, let's see if this is going to work, we had two goals of the first year. It wasn't profitability, which would be nice. The goal was, with just Alabama property online, would good real estate agents come to a place that 10 years ago had no office, now that's more common, had no office, and believe that we could drive them business, and would consumers not just use the website, but go through to those agents and engage with them. And our belief is the tech gets the people who do high-end purchases of anything, they want to do a lot of their own research to a point, and then they want an expert for the last mile.
Okay. Okay. What's some of the most exciting things you're working on right now? What are you most excited about in this business, in this space, as CEO of these two companies?
So we spent a lot of time in the last few years kind of trying a lot of build out new things of marketing and tech. A lot of our marketing is tech related, tech engaged, and we're spending a lot of time right now figuring out which ones we didn't want to do, didn't work, kind of A/B tests, like these engaged, these didn't. And we're coming back and refining and finishing those, and we're looking at what niche is next. So, it's, as I'll share with you, it's mountain homes. And here's what's exciting about mountain homes is, no one's defined what a mountain home market is. I mean, we kind of know if it's a lake, it's lake front, it's lake access, it's lake view, it's a lake community, same thing,
Right.
beach. But no one on scales define what is a mountain home, and we're going to get it wrong to start with. But and
Yeah,
it's
I never
very,
even heard the term. I mean, I think of the Berkshires, right? I'm in Massachusetts, so I think
yeah.
of I think of the feeling you get out there, right? But and I think of the Colorado Rockies and the sort of the Continental Divide and the feeling you get at that elevation.
Yeah.
But I don't really think of like planting a home, plopping a home in the middle of those mountains, or is it a mountain view of the Rockies?
So here's
That's
our
interesting.
definition, which is fuzzy. I actually had an epiphany. We were meeting real estate agents in Idaho, and we had some time, and we'd gone over to Whitefish for the weekend. We'd never been that part of Montana, and it's a valley. Whitefish is flat.
Right,
But we
right.
get this really nice Airbnb, and they've got these, when you come in, the lodgings upstairs, you come in downstairs, and there are these huge lockers for skis and mountain bikes. And it's like, this is a mountain property because it's here and it's built this way because of the mountain. Or I was in Colorado recently for a meeting with some folks, and the hotel charged more money for rooms that had a view of the mountain versus not. Well, that's
That's it. I mean, if you want my advice, it's Mountain View Homes. It's not Mountain Homes. It's
yeah.
Mountain View.
Well, we've gotten complaints from on lakehomes.com of people saying you have property that's not waterfront. You're
Ah.
lakefront homes. And I'm like, well, that's a
Okay. All
different
right.
data. And a lot of the data in this country doesn't denote things. Like over half the MLSs in the country have no denoting that it's on the lake or not. And we have to do that through technology. And mountain's going to be, we'll initially probably have too much data, and then we'll clean up how you can filter it down.
Yeah.
It'll be sloppy to begin with, but from an entrepreneur standpoint, we want to weather that. We also know we need to get it time to market is better than getting it perfect. And we'll clean it up and we'll deal with the complaints and let SEO build our track. Because this is also a difference that we had to process in our company was, if you're doing anybody with a business owner, I've worked with my software company helping business owners, is do you do something that makes the customer behavior different? People buy a primary residential home, reach out to an agent, they're probably going to do something in 60 or 90 days. We change jobs. We're older. My wife had hip replacement. We need a house with no stairs quick. But our case, first contact to a transaction averages about 2 years. And so you have to nurture and engage without being a pest to be available and be an expert, both in our tech and our agents. But if you build that pipeline of business and you become that relational helper, that consultative expert, You've built a book of business as an agent, and we built it as a company. But it's an anomaly, and agents who come to us who expect instant success really struggle. Those that think long-term pipeline, which is a better business owner perspective as well. And there's a lifetime value. People who buy a lake home will sell it. And many agents just think about, I got a deal done, and they forget that client. We want to think what happens when they get ready to sell it. If it's 5, 8, 10 years from now, we want to help them when it's that time, keep that engagement by being helpful to them, not being pestering.
So this is the anti-boiler room, anti-Alec Baldwin, Glengarry, Glenn Ross type of a speech. I guess that I've been dying to just make that reference in one of these interviews, right? Anyone that's seen that movie, and I won't quote the line, but what does it take to sell real estate, right? What does it take to sell lake home or lakefront real estate? And what I'm hearing from you is patience, number one. Follow up, consistent
Patience,
relationship building, expertise. Yeah,
expertise.
list off the traits, because there are some realtors that if I have realtor friends, right? If I said, hey, you should talk to this guy Glenn,
Yeah.
but if they're OCD or ADD or any of those things where they're like, they need the action, I don't know that this is the right fit for them.
Yeah. The successful agents, those who've joined us, and some of us joined us 10 years ago when we had no track record, they came on faith, and they've been very successful. They have drive and grit.
Grit. Okay.
They are at least somewhat coachable.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them have had to fail enough before they became more coachable. They had to go do it the old way that all the other brokerages taught them before they finally went, okay. And in fact, one I mentioned in a call lately, well, I finally did what Glenn's been telling me. And not that we get it all right, but still, and we learn from each other. We get everybody together to do that best, like getting the A team together. And so they have drive, they have grit, they think long term, they're helpful. They don't come off they can be very assertive. Are you doing the deal or not? But they're doing more like your friend would, as opposed to somebody that's, just trying to got dollar signs. Much of people in real estate are in the pursuit of now.
Right.
I need the deal now. And they're starving right now because real estate's been in an unofficial recession. Fewer houses of all types were sold in the U.S. last year in 29 years, almost 30 years.
Wow, I didn't realize that number.
And so the number of agents who are desperate and starving, they'll get out. But my feeling is that the agents who really sustain themselves over all the economic cycles, buyer's market, seller's market, are the ones who think about both. They don't just chase what's hot. And to do that, they have to be always looking how you help buyers and sellers over time, not just, I hope the phone rings.
Yeah, I'm picturing what this person would look like, and I don't picture it as a new real estate broker. I picture it as you said, someone that's failed, someone that has failed in the pursuit of some sort of business venture, right, or in real estate prior, right? They've seen what does not work, and they're looking for a better way. Are all of your brokers full-time? This is all they do, or is it much like the real estate business where this is
occasionally somebody on a team or in transition? We've taken somebody from, like, it's a obscure market, very rural. There's no dominant age. There's no rock star, or no one we can make a rock star.
Yep.
You may have to make one. And they have other markets, though, where there are plenty of people who are full-time. They just can't figure out how to get past the rock stars. Sometimes the rock stars have such sweetheart deals, we're not a good fit for them. Where they're kind of a loss leader. It's kind of like the whale at the casino.
Right.
Goes, oh, they won millions there. We need to go play there. So the brokerage makes money by getting several hundred other agents coming where the whale is, and they'll lose money on that person.
Okay.
But we can't work that way, because I think much of our business philosophy is that real estate is a bunch of infantry, and we're special forces. We're still doing the same. We're still military with a mission, but we have fewer people who know what they're doing with tech and support behind them.
I like that. Special forces. Wow, that's a great analogy.
If your house is being held hostage to the market, do you want the person who just came out of boot camp and is never really been engaged or done very little, or do you want the special forces to come rescue it?
Special forces. That's brilliant. That is brilliant. Glenn, I could talk for hours on this. The idea of team, the idea of special forces, the idea of supporting with a digitally tech-enabled market, competitive advantage. These are all topics that I'd love to dig in more. Let's do this again. I'd love
Yeah,
to do another interview with you down the road. Maybe when that new product comes out, that new market comes
yeah.
out, and maybe you can use. We'll see what you use for a name for it, but
There's an official name coming. So
yeah.
it's exciting. I appreciate I love this is entrepreneurs exciting. Business ownership is not for everybody. It's not what people think it is, but it can be very rewarding. You get to sort of set your own path, good or bad. You have more control over your future if you grab it.
I agree. And I'd love to dig more into that, into a little bit more into you the next time we talk, because this was very much because of I'm so fascinated in your business. This
Well,
is more
you're very
like
kind.
kind of a commercial for your company, which I'm glad to do and happy to do. And hey, I'm sold. So
Well,
let's do this
fantastic.
again.
We'll get you hooked up there.
All right, great. Good to see you. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you much, Kurt.